I had no family history. My husband had no family history. We had no idea during the pregnancy, no idea after birth. Cole was diagnosed at 2 years old. He had rapid progression. He was not able to jump, had an extremely difficult time going up and down stairs. The doctor immediately put him on prednisone, a steroid. Steroids can cause osteoporosis, which he now has, along with compression fractures from T6 to T9, which limits what he can do as an 8-year-old playing with, other kids his age. But first, before I go into that, I want to explain a little bit. So there's different types of Duchenne that affects the gene differently, and Cole has a deletion of exon 44. So basically, to describe that, think of a sentence, take out one letter. That's all he's missing. That produces a protein called dystrophin that protects your muscles from breaking down. So the more he uses his muscles, the more they break down. Your heart's your biggest muscle. You know where I'm going with this. He has a lifespan projected of late teens, early 20s. He's 8. In these 7 years since he was diagnosed, things have rapidly changed in clinical trials. When Cole was 2, I sat in the doctor's office with my mom, and the doctor said, "Take him home and love him. There's nothing we can do." He's 2. What do you mean? You can't do anything? We can give him steroids, and that'll help maintain the muscle function that he has, which is not a lot right now. But that's all we can do. Talk about a blow and a punch to the gut. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't even say Duchenne for a whole year without falling apart. So think of a child in your life, most likely a boy, and being told that about somebody you love, that there's no hope. Because that's what I left that doctor's office with, was absolutely no hope. Fast forward to 2 years ago. Actually, 2 years today, I was at the FDA Advisory Committee meeting in Washington, D.C., where they were listening to hearings about Exondys 51, which you saw up on the screen a little bit ago. That's where the FDA was trying to decide whether or not they were going to approve this medication for these boys that have a deletion of exon 51. So it's not the same one Cole has. This one that was in front of the FDA affected 12% of boys with Duchenne. What Cole has affects only 8% of boys with Duchenne. So not every drug that comes about works for every single boy that has Duchenne. Cole's one of the lucky ones where it affects 8% of the boys, so that's the majority of the population, so he has a chance. There's some kids with Duchenne that they're the only one with that specific genetic mutation and they have no hope. They're down in that pile. So 2 years ago, I listened to a scientist from the FDA tell parents, tell researchers, tell scientists, funders in this meeting that if the boys wanted to walk, they could. There's an uproar. I think he had to be escorted out by security because the parents were about to kill him. I know I wanted to. September, it was finally approved, and that is the science for the clinical trial that Cole is in. And he started that August 16th last year. He had his first infusion. It's a total of 208 infusions. It's a weekly infusion for 4 years. The first 2 years, we don't know if he's on a placebo or if he's on the drug. He had his 37th infusion yesterday. Like I said, we don't know if he's on placebo or not, but I can tell you things that he can do now. When he first tried to get into the trial, he has to go through 2 days of testing, and the end of June last year, June 25th, he has to do a 6-minute walk test. And you have to be between, I think it's 300 and 450 meters. And he was just above 300 meters. He could walk in 6 minutes. Last week, he had this test again, they do every so often. He was able to walk 494. Duchenne doesn't get better, it gets worse. It's a progressive disease. You tell me if you think he's on a placebo. I think he's on it. He's able to pull himself up into my Chevy Equinox, which is not very high, but it's not very low either. He's able to jump. When he was 2, he wasn't. Now, it's not very high, but it's something. He's able to go up those stairs without holding my hand. Quality of life. There is hope, because what y'all have done is given us hope. And I cannot thank you enough for what you've given my family and what you've given my child. So that's the research part of it. The camp part, which is the fun part, which he enjoys. He gets to go to camp, meet other kids like him that can keep up with him. He has somebody, well, last year he had the cutest girlfriend at camp, so everybody was jealous. So he gets to swim,
His eyes came up.
which I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but if you are in water up to your shoulders, it takes off 90% of your body weight. So he feels free. He feels like he can do anything. He makes crafts, which, he don't really care about that too much, but, he has fun either way. He participates in the talent show. Cole, did you want to show them your trick? Give me the phone real quick. No. Okay,
No.
so he has a disappearing arm, so if you see him later on, just ask him about his disappearing arm, okay? He also, one year, was Captain America and had an epic battle with Iron Man. Captain America won. What else, Cole? I don't know. So if you ask him what he likes most about camp, his answer is everything. He comes home exhausted because he had so much fun. He doesn't want to tell me everything that happens, and that's okay. But it gives him a break from reality, and he always gets to miss the last week of school, so he really likes that. Gives mom and dad a break too, so we can kind of recoup, because it's a lot of appointments, whether it's to specialists, therapy, speech, physical, occupational, seeing all kinds of different specialists. I've taken him to the best doctors in the nation for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and then finally a clinical trial was funded at home in Norfolk at CHKD. So instead of us having to travel hours every week, we're able to do it at home within, depending on traffic, 30 to 45 minutes, which is a blessing to us, because then I know that I can get my child what he needs. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be available later. I can talk about this all day long, and what Duchenne is, and how MDA has helped us, and how firefighters have been awesome, and they're our heroes. And also make sure you ask Cole later on where his fire escape plan is, because he brought it with him. Okay, he wanted to show it to everybody. Thank you guys.